Hi everyone, this is Cheryl and welcome to my sewing room. What you're looking at right now is 1/2 yard of panel fabric. There are 15 7.5 inch squares on it. So I'm going to show you how you can make 4 different things, and I'm only using 5 of these 7.5 inch squares. So let's get started. First of all, I want to go over where can you get panel fabric. A lot of different fabric shops, but not all fabric shops are going to have panel fabric. Quilt shops have some, but my favorite places to buy panel fabric is on the internet from equilter.com and fabric.com. Now, I don't know the exact size this placemat's going to come out just yet. And when you buy your panel fabric, it'll all depend on the size of the squares that's in it. My squares are roughly 7.5 inches. So I don't cut out the fabric for the back until my top is done. So for the back, I've chosen this red fabric. And then here are the 2 squares that I'm going to use in the middle of the placemat. I left them attached. And there's 1/4 inch extending out past all of the edges. So first I'm going to attach some fabric on each side, and I'm using this star fabric, and I'll trim it down to size later. Then after that, I've selected some more star fabric to put around and finish it off. So this placemat's going to come out to roughly 14 by 18 inches. And one more thing you're going to need is heavy iron-on interfacing. If you prefer cotton batting, that's not a problem. You can use that also. First step is to stitch the 2 pieces on the side. So bring front sides together, stitch 1/4 inch seam, press your seams on the back, unfold, press on top. Now I'm going to cut these pieces of fabric to be an exact fit. So first line up your ruler on the edge of the panel fabric itself and then cut it off. Go down here, do the same thing, line it up and cut. Go to the other side and do the same thing. Take your last 2 pieces and bring them front side down on top. Stitch 1/4 inch seam on both sides. Press your seams on the back first, then unfold and press your seams on top. And I'm pressing my seams away from the center of the placemat. Then line your ruler up on the edge and trim the excess fabric off on each end off. To cut the fabric out for the back, lay your fabric for the back down, then place your placemat top over it, and then just cut around it. That way you'll have an exact fit for the top piece. So cut around all 4 sides of the placemat. I have fused the heavy iron-on interfacing on my fabric for the back. Just read the instructions that come with your package. I have the backside fabric facing up, and then place your top of the placemat facing down. Then place pins around all 4 edges. So do that all the way around. You're going to leave an opening on one side so that you can turn this front side out later. So leave it about 4 or 5 inches. Then start on one side of the opening, back stitch, stitch 1/4 inch seam around all 4 sides, and when you get to the last pin, back stitch. Trim the corners down to about 1/8 inch wide. Be careful not to cut into your stitch line, and you want to do this on all 4 of the corners. Reach in between the 2 fabrics and begin turning it front side out. After you've turned it front side out, give it a good pressing. Press all of your edges. And while you're pressing, Press these edges under 1/4 of an inch and fold them inside of the placemat. Then pin to close. Then stitch close to the edge all the way around all 4 sides. And then if you have yours set up like this, I would stitch right around this ditch area here. This is the seams here, and it will hold all the fabrics together in the center. I'm going to make a mug rug. A mug rug is just a miniature placemat, and people make them to have their coffee and tea, a soda, and a light snack. You can make them for kids, putting their favorite characters on them. They can be a lot of fun, but this one's just going to be a really simple one. You can make it just like I did the placemat, or you can make it just a little different like this one. So on this one, I'm going to use cotton batting instead of the heavy iron-on interfacing. This is going to go on the back. For the very front, I've got the star, and I'm going to put this other star fabric off to the side. And on this one, I'm going to put some binding on the edges, and I'm using red fabric. I'm going to make this mug rug about 7.5 by 10 will be the finished size. So I added a strip of fabric over on this side so that it would come out to 10 inches. So then go ahead and stitch it on just like you did on the placemat. Press it on the back side and trim anything off that you need that extended out past the edges. Now take your fabric for the back and the cotton batting, and right now I can see the good side of the fabric for the back. So I'm putting it against the table with the cotton batting inside, and I'm going to center this in there, and I'm going to cut all of this to be an exact fit. So cut around all 4 edges. Once you cut one side, turn your fabric and continue cutting. Then I suggest that you put some straight pins in to hold the layers of fabric together. And I did some little decorative stitching on top. You don't have to, but it helps to hold everything together. So you can either do straight line stitching, going up and down and side to side, or you can use some decorative stitches. If you want to know about decorative quilting stitches, click on the link in the upper right-hand corner. To put the binding on, turn it to where you're looking at the back side. Cut a long strip of fabric that is 2.5 inches wide. Fold it in half and press it all the way down. Place the binding, the end of the binding, somewhere in the middle. It doesn't have to be exact, just anywhere near that middle point. Go over about 3 or 4 inches and put a pin. And I would put another one, especially if you're new and you're not used to holding on to the fabric. It's always a good idea to pin. Start stitching from this first pin, back stitch, stitch 1/4 of an inch, go down towards the corner, stop when you get 1/4 of an inch from this edge. Take it out of your machine and fold the binding straight out this way so that it's even with this edge. Place your finger or thumb there, fold it over, and pin it down. Stick it back in your machine and continue stitching 1/4 of an inch seam all the way down. Do the same fold at all 4 corners, and when you get to where you're getting close to where you started, then stop right about here. You can see I did all corners with that little fold. Now bring the 2 ends together. So overlap the 2 ends, and you're going to cut a 1/2 inch overhang. And I've already cut it, so you would just cut the excess off. Pull the ends out and fold it in half because it'll be easier to bring the ends together. So open the ends of the binding, bring them together. I would place some pins to hold, lining up better than what I'm doing right now, but I think you get the idea. Then stitch a 1/2 inch seam across there. After stitching Then unfold, finger press the little seam open. It'll make it lay a little flatter if it's been pressed open. So once you've got it open, then fold your binding back and then finish stitching it across here. Turn it over to the front and bring the edges up and over. What I like to do is I'll go to my ironing board and I'll press on these seams and I get a nicer fold over. It's just going to lay really nice when you do that. Fold the binding over the edge to the front, and I like to pin mine. I just find I get a much better look if I pin. So I'm going to show you how to do your corners. So place a pin on one side of the corner and then on the other side of the corner. Take a straight pin and then press down and in, push out towards the edge of the mug rug, fold over the binding, and then pin. And that's how you do a mitered corner. So continue pinning all around and folding your corners like this. Stitching with the front side up, you're going to stitch real close to the edge of the binding all the way around all four sides. And it's all done. I've selected a white kitchen towel and I've cut the towel in half. For the top piece of the towel, I'm going to use this square. This is the piece that's going to hold the towel over a handrail in some part of your kitchen, whether it's an appliance handrail or a drawer pull. Also, I'm going to use this star fabric on the back of this piece. I'm also going to use the star fabric as the border for on the bottom of the towel, and you'll also need just a small piece of heavy iron-on interfacing and a small piece of Velcro. This piece of fabric right here is a little wider than this. This is 7.5 inches, but it's about 6 inches this way. So place it at the top edge and stitch 1/4 inch seam, press on the back, unfold, press on top. And what this piece is going to do is, this is what's going to go over the handle of a drawer or your oven, a handle, dishwasher, and so you want to make sure you give enough room for that. Now trim this off to be even with the square on the bottom of it, and then go to this side and trim it off. Put your heavy iron-on interfacing on the back side. Again, follow package instructions. Take your fabric for the back and place it front side up. Place this front side down, and then you're going to cut it to get an exact fit. I find it's just so much easier to do projects and get them to turn out nice if I do it this way. So go ahead and cut around all of your edges. On that fabric for the back, you're going to place a piece of heavy iron-on interfacing and fuse it on. So this is going behind where the panel fabric piece is, about 3 inches from the bottom. Then turn it over to the front and stitch around the edge of your Velcro. I've placed a few pins along this section. This is where that square is. And down here, we're going to round the edges. So take something round. This is just an old bowl that I have. You can either draw around it or just trim, like I do with my rotary cutter. And then go over to the other side and do the same thing. And I'm just going to have to turn it a little bit so I can see. And line it up and then trim it off. Finish pinning around this edge, and then you're going to start down here in this lower corner right here, stitch 1/4 inch seam all the way around, and then stop that right here. After stitching, take some small scissors and go all the way around this curved edge, doing little clips. Be careful not to cut into your stitches. And now turn it front side out. Smooth out all of the curved edges down there. Then go and press all of the edges flat at your ironing board. Flip it over to the back, and you're going to put the other piece of Velcro on. So fold this over so that it looks like this. Fold it over, open it up to see where the Velcro goes, and then finish stitching it on. Fold the bottom edge inside 1/4 inch and then press it with your iron. For the bottom of the towel, cut a strip that's 4 inches wide this way and then several inches longer than the width of the towel. At each end of the strip, fold it over 1/4 inch and press. Fold it again 1/4 inch and press. And then go to the other end and do the same thing. Then at this long edge here, do the same thing. Fold it over once and press, fold it over twice and press. Then stitch close to the inside folded edge all the way down. For the last raw edge that's along here, fold it over 1/4 inch and press. Take it, and you'll notice that the bottom edge of your towel is probably crooked. I have not found one yet that's straight. So place your border fabric below that bottom edge to where it looks straight. It could be 1/2 inch to 1 inch. Then fold the ends around the edge here, pin them down. So pin both ends, pin across the top here, then stitch along this side, close to the edge all along here, and then of course along this edge here. Place rickrack over the edge of the fabric here, the border fabric. It's going to overlap the border fabric as well as the towel. So the middle of the rickrack goes on the edge of the border fabric. I've placed pins across here. Wrap the ends around to the back on both ends, and then use matching thread and stitch down the middle of the rickrack all the way across. Take the towel and fold it into thirds. Before you insert the towel inside, make sure you have it folded so that it will comfortably fit inside there. Then open up the bottom of the top piece and insert it inside about 1/2 inch. Place pins to hold and then stitch close to the edge all the way across here. Very last step, stitch 1/8 inch away from the edge all the way around. Panel fabric is also great for making a lot of pot holders. I won't demonstrate it in this video, but if you play this video all the way to the end till a green screen appears, click on the link in the upper left-hand corner. For more panel fabric projects, play this video until a green screen appears and then click on the links. Waiting for Maria to stop scratching.
Sorry, I'm waiting for like action or something.
I'm not sure.
I'll be a catering if anybody needs
This video, click on thumbs up. And don't click dip.
Oh, Cheryl.
You need a script to read off of.
Yeah, or
Is that what
something.
you
Come on,
got?
come on, come on. Let's go.
This video, click on thumbs up. Maria, your pillow's wrong. Just turn your hands let's do the other side. There you go.
Been on this whole time.
If you like this video, click on thumbs up. And don't forget to click on share to share this video with your friends. And if you haven't subscribed yet, click on that red subscribe button down there in the lower right-hand corner of your screen. Click on the little bell and enter your email address so you receive future emails about my latest video. If you're not receiving those emails, go to your cell phone or iPad, click on settings, and turn notifications in the on position. This is Maria, this is Manny, this is Jamie, and I'm Cheryl. So glad you came to my sewing room. See you next time, and happy sewing!